damn, it is cold. As you can tell, I'm at Lumi's, and as you can tell, it's cold. So obviously, yeah, I've just been up doing some pictures for the social media. Obviously, follow Lumi's Motorcaf on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook to keep up to date with everything that's going on here, or if you just want to look at pictures of bikes. I don't have an uploading schedule, but I do tend to get a video up on Saturdays, and I didn't yesterday because this week's been a bit mental, as you can imagine, with my mum. Very, very quick update. Basically, she is still in hospital. There is some signs of improvement. She's alright, she's mostly bored, but we're basically waiting on tests, so we don't know how much longer she's going to be in for, because it all depends on when those tests get done. So it's been a bit of a stressful week. Oh, we've also had to take over sort of the management of my 94-year-old nan's care, which is a few problems have cropped up. They got quite stressful, we had to sort out, but we've done it. But anyway, I do have something to talk about, and well, as you can tell from the title, the motorcycle industry owe us being motovloggers, and I'll explain to you why. And I've been doing a bit of research on this for a little while now. So in the UK, there's about 34 million vehicles on the road. About 28 million of those are cars, and everything else is made up in that last few million. There is just over a million, well, 1.2, 1.3 bikes on the UK roads, and a good proportion of those are smaller bikes, but it is spread out. It's, you know, towards the lower CC there are more bikes. There are plenty throughout the rest of the ranges though. And I was watching the Grand Tour the other day, and this figure really surprised me, which was number of driving tests taken last year. I don't know if that included bikes and cars, but it was about 4,000 or 5,000, I think they said, which is a tiny number. I thought it would have been in the tens of thousands, but apparently that's the case. So then you think about it, how many bikes are actually being sold in the UK each year? It's not a lot, because most people are riding older bikes. Not all, but most, I think. You know, yeah, you do see this year's and last year's models around, but you see majority of older bikes. So then you need to think about what gets people into riding motorcycles, because riding a motorcycle, you are not normal. None of us are normal. And I say that statistically. You know, if 1 in 34 rides a bike, that makes us pretty, you know, rare on the roads, as it were. And then you think, well, how do people get into riding bikes? You know, normally it's because you have a family connection, like your dad or your brother or your mum or your sister or your uncle or granddad, grandma, you know, cousin, someone you know rides. And that's what sort of leads you into it. There's also people who, you know, just have mates that ride and leads you into it. And there are people that just decide to do it off their own back. But there's also, and I can be sure of this because I know that hundreds, I reckon at this point, have told me that, you know, I inspired them to start riding. And it's nothing more than, you know, they saw a couple of videos and were like, that's cool, I want to ride a bike. It's nothing about me necessarily, it's just showing them the fun that riding bikes can be. The fun of, you know, -1 and freezing cold right now. This is certainly not convincing anyone. So that's a couple of hundred from me over the past 5 years, at least. They're the ones who've mentioned it to me. You know, I don't have a huge channel, so you think how many people all the other vloggers are inspiring to ride as well. And it leads me to think, the motorcycle industry kind of owes us vloggers. We are influencers. We are people who get money through their doors by convincing new people to ride bikes. A market can't survive without new customers because, you know, as the old customers get older, they want different things, they ride less. So the motorcycle industry needs new blood like a dehydrated vampire. It's, you know, it's critical to them. However, the motorcycle companies themselves kind of dismiss vloggers. What I mean by that is it's taken me until now to actually talk to a couple of the companies directly, and for them to be interested in, you know, working together, getting me bikes to review for longer term reviews, because a long term review, being, you know, a minimum of a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks, is so much more powerful as a review than someone taking a bike out for a day or even a weekend. Yeah, the weekend gives you a much better idea than a normal test ride. but having it for 2-3 weeks so you can give a video or review of what it's like to live with a bike. You know, you can find problems, find the things you do and don't like, and sometimes there's things that take weeks for you to notice, but once you've noticed them, it ruins the bike. I won't mention who it was, but one of the companies I was talking with, and I said, right, so we can get some long reviews done next year, and they were like, yeah, sure, I'm sure we can get you a bike for a long weekend, and I was like, no, if you're going to just offer it to me for a weekend, I'm not interested. I can just, you know, it's not much different from doing a short review. If you're going to lend me a bike long term, I want it for at least 2 weeks, maybe 3-4 weeks, ideally 2 months. I want to live with the thing to find out what it's like. It doesn't really surprise me, if I'm completely honest, because I'm so used to companies not understanding the power and the importance of social media. Social media is the future of advertising. It's far more powerful than like TV ads and things like that, because it's so directed to the right people. Your pound per person who's interested in that thing to watch, to possibly buy your product, who sees it, is far higher than TV. And I think that's partially why you never see an ad for a motorcycle on UK TV. It doesn't happen. I haven't ever seen one that I can think of. It takes someone in the company to be a little bit forward thinking, to really push it and say, no, seriously, we really need to get modernised, we need to get social media in, we need to get vloggers on board and do these things. And I mean, I do hope that someone who has influence in the motorcycle industry watches this. I doubt they will, but if you do, seriously, just look at the example of Barnstormer, BMW in Alton, and Hazelmere Motorcycles. Those are two dealerships which saw how powerful social media and, you know, vloggers can be for their company. And it doesn't even cost them anything, because you're either borrowing a demo bike or the press bike if it's from one of the big manufacturers. And they've got multiples of these. Yeah, they don't have loads, they have to share them around, you know. These bikes zip around the country, the most unloved things in the world. Everyone who gets on one rides the living shit out of it. God, don't ever buy an express bike, that's what I'd say. And it's kind of inevitable. It is the future. We know it's the future. I mean, it's like websites. In the past, people were like, oh, we don't need a website for our business. Every business has a website now, generally. Even if it's a very basic page, it just says who they are, what they do, and how to contact them. They still have one. And social media is the next thing. Now, obviously, this is brilliant for me, because I'm really enjoying working in social media, and I do want to do it. I'd love to do it for a really big company, to have a massive amount of engagement with people. I'd love to do that. You know, working for Loomies is awesome. It's given me so much training, and that's the interesting thing about social media. Sure, you can go to uni or college or whatever it is and do social media courses, but personally, I think it means absolute dick. It's doing it that it makes you good at it. And I think it's one of those things that just because you're told how to do it doesn't mean you can do it. This isn't something I've really seen anyone talk about, how much, you know, good the vlogging community does for these bike companies, and they literally, very, very few of them take us seriously. Oh, Jesus. I do miss the summer. I can deal with the cold. I can deal with all of that. I just want grip. And you can actually see it's sparkling. This is icy. This is actually icy, this road. There's little sparkles all over it. Fuck. Another thing I've noticed is how terrible the social media of some companies are. Big companies. The person running it, quite clearly, has literally been like, oh, we need social media, you run it. And they're like, oh, I don't know how. And they're crap at it. Some of the images I saw some of the big companies post that they took themselves at Motorcycle Live, I was like, are you kidding me? They are shit. And it's a good image is so powerful. If you're trying to sell a bike, for instance, and you take a picture of it that's just, you know, a crappy image that doesn't show very well, out of focus, not framed, blah, 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 you know, it's not going to be very effective. You put a pucker, nice, sharp, clear, saturated image of the bike there, you will get more money for it, in my opinion, because it will just be like, it will stand out from the crowd, and that's what you've got to do. And it all comes full circle because more younger people use social media. So if you want to get people interested in your bikes, you need good social media. That's also a way of getting new people in. I don't know, maybe I'm talking absolute crap, or maybe, just maybe, I'm talking complete sense. And if someone in one of these companies would listen to me, I could do them a lot of good. Right, well, I'm going to get home before the sun drops and we get the freezing fog tonight. Don't forget, key tags available, stickers, hoodies and t-shirts. The new ones are coming very, very, very soon. There will be a video to let you see the new t-shirts and hoodies very soon. And if you're interested in starting this vlogging malarkey, or just having a camera like the Drift I have, go to driftinnovations.com and use code IAMSPICY for 10% off. What the hell is this? That thing's awesome! Oh! And on that note,
test the waters, oh it's high. I think we're getting close, racing through the way.